friends. Welcome to the Coach Cast with Jim Glogowski. I'm Chad Birger, and today I'm joined by my co-host, Sam Dooyema. We will talk with University of Sioux Falls head football coach Jim Glogowski to discuss the Cougars game against Wayne State and preview the season finale coming up this weekend against the Bears of Concordia-St. Paul. Special thanks to our sponsors, Atomic Wings and Unlimited Painting. You can watch this show every week during the USF football season on YouTube or on the USF Cougar tailgate page on Facebook. Make sure to subscribe to our page on YouTube and sign up for notifications, or follow the tailgate page on Facebook. All right, well, we'll go ahead and bring the guys in to start off with. Good morning. How you guys doing? Coach Glow, Sam, welcome back.
Good. Yeah, great to be here.
It's Monday.
It is Monday. So on Saturday, the Cougars hosted Wayne State, and this one, it was close. I'm going to go through some plays here in a little bit, Coach. We'll probably be cringing how close the Cougars were on certain points. But Wayne State ended up pulling away in the fourth quarter and won over the Cougars with a final score of 42-13. This one drops the Cougars to 6-4 overall and 5-4 in the Northern Sun. We'll go through the quarter-by-quarter scoring here in a little bit. But, Coach, overall impressions from the game on Saturday?
Well, first of all, give Wayne credit. They played hard. They ran the ball really well. We had a hard time stopping the run, especially in the second half, and that was really frustrating. I don't think we played our best football game. They certainly could play better. We got to improve. We got to get better this week and finish strong. But just disappointed, really disappointed to have a senior day that kind of goes that way. Thought we got out to a really nice start. Actually had a nice second half start, but it was in between those two markers that we struggled to put anything together, consistently. I thought defensively, after an average first half, I thought we, gave ourselves some chances there, but unfortunately turned the ball over on short fields at the end of the half, and that kind of put us behind the sticks, so to speak. And then the second half responded really well, come out, go down, score, get a stop, had a chance to tie the game, and didn't do it, and I think those are moments as our program, continues to grow and develop. You have to take advantage of those moments and seize those opportunities, and we didn't do it. For whatever reason, that's our job as coaches to figure that out. But yeah, all in all, no doubt about it. Pretty straight with you guys when we get on these things, and this is not fun to do after a loss. It's awesome after a win, right? But that's life, and it doesn't always go the way you want it to. And so when it doesn't go the way you want, and even when it does go the way that you want as far as the result, sometimes we get caught up in being result-driven versus process-driven. And so this is another reminder that over the course of the season, 11, 12 weeks, every week is a challenge, and you got to be locked in. And they played better than we did. Give those guys a lot of credit. They probably were, there's been a pattern here. The teams that we beat last year have come back with resounding effect this year, and they've put it on us, to be quite honest with you. Mankato, Duluth, and now Wayne. And we've got to do a better job of responding and understand that we have to meet the challenge, both coaching and playing.
Well, Sam, go ahead and take us through the scoring summary here.
Yeah, absolutely. So as Coach said, USF getting off to a fast start. Isaiah Manuel hauling in a 38-yard touchdown pass on senior day from Tate Schaefer, capping off an 87-yard drive, put USF up 6-0 after the missed PAT. So that was great. Great to see that fast start. Great to see
Stop right there, Sam. Hold on right there. So at this point, you guys won the coin toss for the third consecutive game, Coach. We're not going to skim over that, but you guys won the coin toss. Law of averages catching up with you here the last half of the season. But you guys chose to defer to the second half, and then Wayne State got the ball. Your defense came out, gave up, I think, one first down, and then forced them to punt. And then you guys got the ball at the 13-yard line and just marched the ball down the field, took 5 minutes off the clock, and ended up scoring a touchdown. Then you then you kick off back to them. You come out, you stop them again. Things are looking good for the Cougars in the first quarter here, Coach.
Yeah, absolutely. And but there's some underlying issues there too, right? Like you score the touchdown, you miss the extra point. That takes a little bit of air out of your balloon. Then you get a stop, and then you get a chance to go down and score and really get up what could be 13-0, and we don't do that. And so the thing is when you look at stuff like this as a coach and doing this for a long time, the whys, the hows, and those type of things. You can't say we weren't ready to go. The kids came out, they were fired up. I thought we had juice in the locker room. It's senior day, so it's always kind of a weird day because you're out there for an extended period of time doing the introductions for seniors. But we come out, we're fired up. The kids are executing. They barely got the first third down. I think it was 3rd and 2, and they got it by a yard. But then we forced them to punt. were all over the pass game. I didn't think they could throw the ball very well, which they didn't or didn't need to, at least as the game wore on. But we felt like we could stop the run and do a good job of that. Well, then we get the ball back, and I'm feeling really good, right? At that point, it's going right the way we want it to. And then, again, the second quarter was essentially the complete opposite of that, where we struggled with field position. We turned the ball over, which you cannot do. In the games we've won, we've taken care of the football. We didn't take care of the football. We gave them a couple short fields, and then next thing you know, you're trailing at half.
All right. Sorry. Go ahead, Sam.
No, absolutely. I appreciate the context. I was a little late arriving to the game, so I had to catch the stream as well in the first half, so that might color my commentary a little bit. But as we said, as we rolled into the second quarter there, it was all Wayne State as that offensive run game started getting going. Forgy ripped off a 35-yard touchdown run, and then they would answer with two more touchdowns there with the 2-yard run by Forgy and another one by Forgy. But again, short fields, turnovers, really leading to that 21-6 lead heading into half. But you guys get the ball coming out of halftime. So how are you guys kind of feeling heading into the locker room at half there, Coach?
Well, it's interesting. After it's 14-6, I'm sitting there thinking to myself, do we just kind of let the air out of this thing and get to halftime and no one get the ball to start the second half? But to be honest with you, that's just never been my mindset. I want to be aggressive. I felt good about it. And then we get an unfortunate turnover, and then they get a short field and they score. And that was probably the most disappointing part about it. But we come into halftime, regroup. At that point, again, I'm feeling more as a victim of maybe some unlucky bounces, if you will. And then the second half, I'm like, all right, we got a plan. We're going to come out, we're going to score, get a stop, and get right back in this football game. And once again, third quarter, we're sitting right there. It's a one-score game. We end up having the ball, I think, 1st and 10 on the plus 43 going into score, down by a touchdown with about 2 or 3 minutes left in the third quarter. So once again, first quarter, third quarter, it's going exactly as is the plan. The problem is the second and the fourth quarter were so out of whack, it's going to discolor the entire picture, and that's kind of the nature of the beast. The same exact thing happened at Mankato. Really good first half. Third quarter blows up, and then, we finish first and second quarters versus Duluth. And so we've been so inconsistent. That's the biggest challenge we have as we look forward to this week in the offseason is how do we become more consistent? The difference between this year and maybe year one, it was a consistent 4-quarter episode over the course of several games, right? This year, it seems like we've been more you can see it like in little marked areas of there's certainly an area of the game where you can go to a defined moment between this point and that point where things went poorly. And that's exactly what happened on Saturday. And so whether that's somebody making a play, coach calling a timeout, getting a first down, stopping a drive, making a big play, the huge pass interference going in at the end of the first half, that was costly. We forced a field goal, and maybe it's 10-3 or 10-6 instead of 14-6. And there's things like that we've got to do a better job in those situations to hopefully stem the tide, because obviously at the end of the day, I know they won by a few touchdowns, but it certainly felt closer than that, even be within striking distance at the start of the fourth quarter.
Yeah. So as we rolled into that third quarter, like you said, you guys got the ball to start, and you guys were able to score, get right back into it. HVJ hauling in an 18-yard touchdown pass from Schaefer. I was glad to see after we talked him up last week, we got the ball in his hands and get him into the end zone. So yeah, held the ball 6 minutes, sitting good there. And then Wayne would get the ball back after that stall drive that you guys had, and Forgy would rip off a 60-yard touchdown run, which was kind of a precursor for some of these big plays again that have kind of haunted the coup, I think, all season long. 28-13 then at the third quarter. And then they would tack on. Then their offensive line kind of seemed to take over the game there. By the way, we rolled into the fourth quarter. Forgy again had another touchdown, 7-yard touchdown run, but that capped off a 13-play, 8.5-minute drive, covering 60 yards. They just kind of wore down the Cougar defense. And then with 2 minutes left in the game, another big play ripped off by Wayne State's Brendan Hayes with a 51-yard touchdown run for that final score, 42-13.
Yeah, really disappointing when you look at that. The first touchdown's about 35, 40 yards. And the exact same play happens later in the game where they hit the ball on the weak side and we just misfit a gap and he goes for 50 yards, another 50-yard run. So, 300 yards rushing and 150 of it plus on 3 plays, that you're not going to win a lot of football games when you're giving up explosive plays like that. And that's probably the thing that bothers me the most as a defensive mindset of guy is that we cannot give up huge plays. And going back to Northern State, even Black Hills, a couple of big pass plays, with just too many big chunk plays that it makes it tough to win football games when you're giving up those explosives.
Well, Coach, we're going to dissect this game in a little bit more detail, but first, we're going to hear a word from the newest sponsor of the Coup Coach Cast, Unlimited Painting. And so here's Durant.
Hey, Sioux Falls and surrounding areas. I'm the owner of Unlimited Painting. Our licensed and insured crew delivers professional results on time and within budget. Not only are we quick, easy, and affordable, but we're going to transform your space with lasting impressions. Unlimited Painting, professional, dependable, and done right the first time. We're offering 15% off any exterior project. Give us a call now for a free quote.
Well, a little bit of snow on Saturday, but if you're going to prepare for your spring time painting or staining needs, go ahead and reach out to Unlimited Painting. Durant and the guys will take care of you. You can get a quote right now, 605-403-9222, 605-403-9222, or visit their website at unlimitedpaintingsf.com. All right, we'll bring Coach back on here. Coach, we're going to step up now and we're going to review some of the plays. I had a tough time going through and picking out plays here for the Coach's Clicker this week, but all the video that we're going to show here on the Coach's Clicker is courtesy of the USF Athletic Department and the NSIC Network. So to start off with, we'll kind of lob one up for you, give you an easy one. Let's start out with the first touchdown. Oh, first off, before we do this, Coach, when you showed up at the stadium, were you expecting to have 2.5 inches of snow on the ground Saturday morning?
Well, when I woke up, I saw it at my house just north of town here. So I knew it wasn't going to be really pretty out there. Shoveled a little bit of driveway action when I left. But yeah, I'll say this to our athletic director, John Hart, and Eric Brothers and Jason Farrow and that crew. They did a great job getting the field cleared. Obviously, if you'd have watched the game, you wouldn't have thought that, it was that much different. Obviously, the snow piled up on the sidelines, but they did a great job of prepping the field, and really appreciative of their efforts and the grounds crew to get it ready to go.
Yeah.
We're going to have to
go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, we're going to have to start taking a look at the Wayne game every year, though. I mean, last year was the 40-mile-an-hour wind game down at Wayne America with the backed up. And then I was thinking of the game, I think it was 2016, Birger, the snow game against Wayne that year. And so I don't know, we might just have to mentally prepare for some weird weather when Wayne America comes to town here. So keep that in mind.
Well, so this play, you guys, first offensive possession, I believe, for the Cougars. You guys held the ball, drove the ball down the field, and then Schaefer did a really good job on this one of kind of avoiding the pressure. You can see Isaiah Emanuel goes in motion. They get a little bit of pressure upfield on this one, and then Schaefer steps up. And at this point, everyone on the sideline is thinking, run it. And watch what Schaefer does.
Yeah, this is it's actually almost the exact same play from earlier when Noah Robertson was going down the seam and the ball was just over his head. And we switched the personnel, and Coach Lueders does a good job of coming back with the same play, just different personnel. And nothing against Noah, but now you get a wide receiver in the slot, and then a kid steps up in the pocket and delivers the football, and he does the rest, running through contact. And, Isaiah's been a very nice addition. Unfortunately, he's a one-year guy. He'll be done after this year, but he's done a really nice job. Probably, and I told him this, he made a bigger impact probably off the field than he did on, and he's made a big impact on the field. But just his leadership and his experience, he's done a really nice job, and good to see him get in the end zone on senior day.
And look how close Schaefer is to being across the line of scrimmage here, Coach.
Yeah, there's been a couple times this year where he kind of toes that line there a little bit. But the one thing about him is he definitely keeps his eyes down the field, and that's a pretty impressive trait for a young quarterback.
Yeah. Well, and then you said earlier the guys were all fired up. Look at everyone going down to celebrate. I was surprised no one tried a snow angel or something in the end zone there, but everyone was fired up at the beginning of the game here, which was good.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing with our kids. I mean, it's not a lack of effort or want to. I think there's some things that we have to continue to work on in our program, and that's the goal. Try to finish 7-4, a winning record, and certainly you'd like to have a few more victories. Who wouldn't, right? Every team in America would tell you that, except for one team at the end of the year. But yeah, ultimately our kids were locked in, came ready to go, got a big stop, got a score. We're up by a touchdown, and this is about exactly how you want to draw it up, and you get the ball to start the second half. So right now, 40 minutes of real time into the game and 10 minutes of clock time, I'm feeling pretty good about where we're at.
Well, let's go ahead and take a look at this next play. This one, Coach, I'm going to put up here. This one is one of those missed opportunities. So this one, There's 4 minutes and 30 seconds left on the clock, so this is the next possession. And you guys have the ball back. Your defense holds them to a 3-and-out. You get the ball back. You've got the ball near midfield. And this is one where you can see Adonis Hutchinson up at the top of the screen is going to be targeted on the out route here. And he's open. I mean, the defender falls down in this case. And it looks like Tate just is kind of backpedaling a little bit on his throw and doesn't, go into it, partially because he has pressure right in his face. But he's not able to get a whole lot onto it, and it short hops to Hutchinson.
Yeah, through the course of the game, there's whether you're talking about Duluth, Mankato, Augustana for that matter, or even last week versus Winona. It was almost the opposite of last week's game where they jumped on us early and then we came back. It was almost like a weird reversal. But, it just doesn't get enough on it, kind of dirts it in front of him and, got a chance to convert the first down. But I'll say this, we're sitting here on 3rd and 12 instead of 3rd and 10. We get a negative yardage play earlier in the drive, and that makes it a little bit longer. He runs the route a little bit deeper, and so some of those things play into it. But, unfortunately, that was one of the plays that, in the big picture that happens in the first quarter but could have made an impact on the game. That's why we talk about that with the kids all the time. You never know when your play is going to be the big play. And what I told them on Sunday in the team meeting was, I said, hey, raise your hand if there was a little bit of air let out of your balloon when that extra point went outside the upright. Well, of course, 100 guys in the room, they all raised their hand. I go, wow, that's crazy. So you're telling me we had 2 extra points, right? He missed one of them. So our kicker, who had 2 opportunities in all those snaps, had such a big opportunity that he actually let air out of the entire team. So you're telling me that play didn't matter or doesn't count when you only say you had 2 snaps or 2 plays? It just depends on how you look at it, right? And it wasn't to say that JT wasn't a good kicker and it's his fault. But my point was, here's a young man that basically had 2 opportunities on Saturday to do his job. And in the one opportunity he had, that deflated our team a little bit. So every opportunity, and it's obvious when the spotlight's on the kicker, but it's the same way if the right guard misses a block, if the left tackle misses a block, if the running back doesn't catch the ball, those opportunities you get have got to be locked in and focused because you never know how much of an impact your one play will make.
Well, Coach, the next one I'm going to show you. So your defense holds them to a 3-and-out again, and then you guys get the ball back after that incompletion we just saw, and you put together a pretty decent drive here. This one was a 10-play, 44-yard drive, almost 4 minutes off the clock, and you get down inside the Atomic Wings red zone here, and 3rd down. And then we come up with the wide receiver screen. Now, Coach, I'm going to be a little critical here. Why do we keep running these plays? Wide receivers can't block. I don't know how else to say it.
Well, and again, so it's interesting because this is a numbers game, right? And so you've got 2-on-2 blocking, and to be quite frank with you, the screen game it's an extension of our running game. It gets the ball to our playmakers in space, right? And we obviously need to do a better job blocking on the perimeter. And that's a concern. And right here, we're thinking to ourselves, okay, get 5 or 6 yards, get a chance to get the first down, get down to 4th and shorts, go for it on 4th down. But let's go get a play that gets us 4 to 5 yards every time. And we didn't execute very well. And the reality of it is it's no different if you run inside zone and you don't get it blocked up, right? I mean, to me, we got a tight end out there on a corner. That should be a good matchup. We got another big body, and we got 2 big bodies out there to block smaller bodies, and we got to do a better job of executing. We have our 2 tight ends out there blocking their 2 DBs. From a matchup perspective, you feel good about it. But we ask these guys to do stuff like this all the time, whether they're blocking the linebacker or blocking a guy in space. We have to execute that better. And so I can understand where the fan is saying, well, why would you do this, do that? But at the end of the day, we've had some big-time plays off the screen game. And, again, when anything doesn't work, you can always sit there and say, well, this is why it didn't work. And that's true. But I could go back to about 20 run plays where we didn't block right in the run game or we didn't hand the ball off to the right guy. And so it comes down to execution. And once again, we try to stay away from the play call versus the execution because every play has a certain level of execution that's needed, a technique that has to be executed and at a high level if we want to be really good. And we did not have a great day blocking on the perimeter. We didn't have a great day blocking up in the run game. And so that certainly, it's hard to believe that Bubba had about 85 yards rushing. So he was that close to another 100-yard game. And so those things that certainly you go back and you say, we should have called a different play. I mean, I wish we probably should have gone for it on 4th and 4 later in the game instead of punting it because we punted it 10 yards. Well, if I'd have known he's going to punt it 10 yards, I would have not punted it. That's the beauty of it. If I'd have known that they weren't going to block those guys in the perimeter, we would have ran a different play. So I get what you're saying, because at the end of the day, and that's the fan part of it. But very rarely does a coach come back and say, man, that was a horrible play. Just like a defensive guy very rarely says, wow, that was just a phenomenal call. Usually every now and then in a game, let's say if you have, for every 10 plays, 1 or 2 is going to be a great call by the defense. 1 or 2 is just a better call by the offense. But it's those 6, 7, 8 plays in between that you have to out-execute everybody, because you're going to have a call that's going to match the defense. They're not going to have short numbers. They're not going to be, out of position, and you're just going to have to execute and block people and move human beings, and that's the name of the game.
So then the ensuing play here, it's 4th down, and you decide, hey, we're going to go for it. It's, in the red zone here, and try to get a look there. There's maybe a little bit of a bump, but the pass was kind of out of the back of the end zone there, and you guys missed that opportunity to score.
Yeah, and I'm sitting there thinking that we got a crosswind here blowing from left to right. And to be fair with our kicking situation, we're much better on the left hash, especially with the wind blowing from left to right. So now we're on the right hash. The wind's blowing from left to right. So that's really putting my guy at a disadvantage. He's got to kick into a crosswind here. And to be honest with you, it's about a 35, 40-yard field goal at that point. So, on this situation, we felt good about it. And if you look at the bottom of the screen here, we actually, the safety jumps the over route, and we have the post in the end zone on Adonis. And he just, during the weekend, and now you're getting the real inside scoop here, Chad. So during the weekend practice, we had talked about, hey, if we get a one-on-one matchup into the boundary, that's probably where you want to go to and take your shot on the deep ball with Janice, right? Well, on 4th down, you'd like to say, hey, listen, we're going to get the over route here, because the way the coverage is rolled up, and, miscommunication, not so much of that, because he goes where we told him to go during the weekend practice. But on 4th down, when you see a corner with outside leverage on Adonis, you take the window ball. That's what this is right here on the post and the over route. And again, probably doesn't see it. That's an experience factor thing. But again, when he comes to the sideline, we're not yelling and screaming because he didn't go to Adonis. We're coaching, saying, hey, next time this situation with the safety rolled up on 2, you take the bang on the post by 1, because it's going to be there. Later on in the game, he hit Tank for the touchdown, right? So that's the inner workings of the game when you're trying to get 11 people on the same page. But with that being said, we blocked better on the perimeter on the play before. We're not even having this conversation, So that's, to your point, we throw the ball better on the first 3rd down. We're not even down here. It's probably 14-0 or it's 13-0. So that's the point that when you consistently make those mistakes, you end up 7-4 or 6-5. When you consistently make the right decision and the right throw, you win 8-9 games, and that's where we're at. That's the world we're living in right now. And we just got to continue to work and get better, because I can guarantee you this, that quarterback is not coming to the sideline saying, I didn't want to convert that 4th down. The kids are trying, they're working at it. We just got to make sure that there's 1,000 different situations out there, and we just got to continue to coach and teach it and put them in situations where there's less variables so they can execute at a high level. That's where the coaching comes in.
All right. Next play here, Coach. This one, defense comes out. Next possession here, and London Kolb doing London Kolb things. Watch him up on the top of the screen here. These number 9 right there, right on the hash on the top of the screen.
Yeah, he does. He attacks the blocker. He throws him out of the way, and he makes the play, right? And the irony of this is, technically, his job is to stay inside that block so the safety can replace on the crack. So just like the play prior, you give these guys some leeway to make plays, right? On the snap prior, he takes the fade, probably not the best decision. On the play here, he takes the decision to rip over the top of this block and not get up the field, because the idea is that slot receiver blocks him, and you see the safety on about the 30-yard line. That safety's going to make the tackle, right? Well, if London stays inside and that guy blocks London, that tells the safety to go tackle the guy with the ball. London goes over the top, it slows the safety down. But again, the result is the TFL. We would have probably had the TFL anyways, because they're not blocking the safety. He would have, he's got to tackle the guy. So again, as a coach, you talk about pulling out this gray hair that I got. Sometimes they do it right and it works in your favor. Sometimes they do it right and it doesn't work in your favor. And sometimes they do it wrong and you get a big play. But the consummate eraser to all this is to coach up the effort and attitude of the defense so they all run to the ball, so you can cover up any guys that are being London Kolb doing. So you say London Kolb doing London Kolb things, and London Kolb's watching the Cougars going, wow, Chad Birger loves it when I just make plays. So then I'm fighting the discipline that's required on a crack replace block, Chad, that we worked on for 11 weeks, because he wants Chad to say, look at London doing London Kolb things. So No, I just tease. I mean, there's the human element, right? It's like I tell these guys all the time. They play video games, you know. Imagine if you bought the brand new Madden 26 and you go play it and you call fire blitz and the kid doesn't blitz or the digital guy doesn't blitz. How mad would you be, that little digital guy? That's how I feel sometimes when our guys don't do what I tell them to do. And it's like a video game to me, but to them, they're not being digital guys. They're being humans doing their own thing. So it's very frustrating at times, as you can imagine.
It's a good analogy, Coach. I like it.
Well, could you imagine if you bought a brand new video game and the digital guy didn't blitz when you put the B button to blitz? You'd be calling EA Sports and say, it ain't in the game. It ain't in the game. You know what I'm saying? Instead of it's in the game. It ain't in the game, EA Sports, because he won't run the fire blitz. That's how I feel sometimes on Saturdays. Like, what are you doing? But again, no one's out there trying to screw up. And you just got to keep that in mind.
Right. Well, we're going to move ahead here to the second half, Coach. And so this one, third quarter, you guys come out right away. You get the football. You're driving the ball down the field. Just get on the Wayne side of things. And then this is the one you mentioned earlier where this is actually the Cougar formation before we get to the touchdown. This is we're not going to call it the Wildcat formation because Wayne State's the Wildcats.
There you go.
But you guys, you guys come out in the Cougar form. Yep.
But here's the funny part. Watch the beginning of this play. Watch the receiver down here. Hank, see how he recognizes he's off? And then he goes, oh, gosh, I got to get on. So now he gets on the ball because the tight end trades. So just stop it right there. So just that little thing right there, that takes a lot of coaching, right, to understand that. So we don't ever even think twice that Hank had the wherewithal, because last year as a freshman, he didn't get back on the line when we ran this, and it was a penalty. They called the play back. So now a year later, he's been in the program. He's the wherewithal. Oh, I got to get on the ball because the tight end's coming over. Otherwise, it's an illegal formation, and the play's no good. So, to me, and I understand, again, I completely understand what you're saying earlier, but I also choose to look at the positives where we're making growth, and that's the key, right? And now right here, he's got a chance to read this thing. This is Bubba and Tate, and Tate's a true freshman. We fake the reverse. Guy gets up the field, get a great block right there by the tight end tackle area right there, and then Bubba comes around and gets 48 pinned inside, or Tate, excuse me, and Bubba comes around the corner, and then he gets back inside, and that little cut right there, we talked about getting your foot in the ground and get vertical, gets him 3 more yards and a first down. And this leads to extending the drive and getting a touchdown. So, that's the thing, right? There's pluses, there's minuses. It's just you'd like to pile up the pluses and minimize the minuses. That's the game. But Dalton Wood gets over, he gets a good block. We've got the reverse. We got Tate Schaefer out here with his hands in his little hand warmer thing there, right? He fakes the toss, and good effort by the guys. Well executed.
All right. Well, we'll go ahead and move to the next play here then, Coach. Sorry, I jumped the gun on the description of that last one. This next one is the touchdown. Then following that, you've got Hank in the slot on this one, and then do a little bit of 2 tight end look up there on the top side of the screen and decide to watch Hank, his move right here.
It's absolutely incredible, and I think the thing about it is go back to our quarterback. And again, and this is what we tell our quarterbacks all the time. It's feast or famine. You're either the hero or the goat, right? That's just the way it is playing quarterback. So now he recognizes they're walking up in man coverage. Now he knows I just got to hang in the pocket with the pressure coming. I got to trust my guys to pick up the blitz. And I just got to buy enough time for Hank to sell the post corner or the corner post, I guess, the shake route. And then he delivers a strike. So, to me, you take the good with the bad. Now, I will say this, a credit to our guys. They're still celebrating. They're still excited. Our young quarterback has had way more positives than negatives, right? And that's the thing that brings me passion and excitement and hope for the future of not just next year, but next week. He'll play better next week. Obviously some of those interceptions we had, they bounced off guys, and that's not all his fault. But he's a competitor, and our kids are competitors, and, we get the shake route and they can't cover Hank in the slot. And we worked all week long that if we see them walk up in the pressure, go to the ball here. Now, let's just say that kid does a better job of covering that shake route, and he still throws the ball there, and the guy breaks it up in the end zone. I mean, he still should throw the ball to that guy because that's the read he was taught all week long, just like the previous play. So, again, sometimes you make the right read and the guy's wide open and he catches it. Sometimes you make the right read, the guy's wide open and he drops it. And sometimes you make the right read, the guy's covered and it's incomplete. The tough thing about throwing the ball, Chad, and as you know, Sam, is 3 things can happen. 2 of them are not good, a drop and a pick. So as a defensive guy, the law of averages are in the hands of the defense, right?
Well, Coach,
that's Minot State.
Hey, I agree with you. I do want to bring up, I mentioned that whole wide receiver screen or getting the ball outside earlier. The Cougars defensively also made some good plays against this. This was a little bit, I think it was right after that touchdown. Maloa Wells doing a great job here.
Yeah, and the screen game, it's interesting because, okay, so when people put all these bodies in the box, right? The box is the area between the tackles, right? So if you draw a line vertically on the screen from left to right, I guess parallel on the screen, but vertical on the football field, if you draw it, you're going to get all these purple jerseys. And so the numbers say you have advantages to the field. And that's what people don't understand when you watch this. When that outside linebacker, I think it's 31 Bruce. See how Bruce has got his inside foot up and he's on about the 31-yard line there? He's leaning, turning inside. Physics tell you it's going to be more difficult for him to turn and go outside than it is to attack inside, right? Okay, so he's a guy that's put in a compromising position. You have a safety who's 10 yards off protecting the post, and you have a corner outside leverage on one protecting the deep ball. So we're telling them by our alignment where the ball can go, and we're going to let you have that space, and then we're going to try to squeeze that space and defend it. We're telling you right now, based on the alignment in the box, you're not going to run the ball in the box because we have more guys you can block in the box. So you have to take advantage of numbers. Now, just like anything, as a coach's job is to find those numbers and take advantage of it. Now it flips over to the player's ability to execute the block. If this guy blocks number 5 properly and puts his hat on the inside, and 15 gets a great ball and comes back to it and gets vertical, this is 10 to 12 yards, easy. But if 5 defeats the block, then they're saying, why are you throwing it out there when there's 2 guys versus 1 blocker, right? So isn't the game of football about trying to get the best matchup where you think your player can beat their player? And I don't say that to kind of contradict to your point, because I saw a thing on Twitter. There was a guy that was just killing the Georgia offensive coordinator for throwing bubble screens. They're averaging 8 yards a play, and on Twitter, because he's got all 22 casts on ESPN so he can see the field. And I get it, but ultimately in the course of 70 snaps, you're trying to figure out where you can get the matchup that you can take advantage of.
All right. Well,
both of us should stop running screens, though.
Well, I watch the next play, Coach. Here's the very next play. They try a similar play. It's not the same play. They try a little swing to the tight end up here on the top side, and watch what Kane does.
Yep. And I will say this, too. This is another offensive mindset of, okay, I'm going to get the ball out there to an unblocked player. I'm going to make sure it's as far away from the ball as possible, the player is, and he's going to have to be in a bad matchup. So their mindset is, I got a big tight end on a little corner. If that little corner can tackle our 250-pound tight end in space, then kudos to them. But we don't think he can. Let's find out. That's the evolution of how the play comes about, because they have leverage on this. Once again, all our guys are packing the box because they're running the football, and we do a great job of stopping it. But this is because of Kane McWilliams, not necessarily because of a poor play call. Because if you're an offensive coordinator and you say, I'm going to get my 250-pound tight end in space versus a 160, 70-pound corner, maybe Kane's 180, that's a size mismatch. Now, how he catches the ball, the manner in which he can turn up the field, all those things play into, he kind of has to turn back inside to catch the ball on his front side. If he catches that thing on his backside and smoothly can turn up the field, now he's running as a diagonal to the pylon or to the stick versus having to cut back inside because of the ball placement. And that's where your quarterback skills, you're watching film on guys. Can he throw the ball on the point on money and all that? But our guys are attacking blocks too on the perimeter. Cade Morris just destroys the crack block. Listen, I'll tell you this. At this point right now, I'm feeling like, okay, we turned the ball over twice in the red zone or on our side of the field at the end of the second half. We've stopped them now multiple times. And then, unfortunately, we have one breakdown, and that makes it 28-13. But I do think we actually get the ball back here. So at some point, though, defensively, we have to continue to stop people. We can't give up chunk plays, and that's where the game turned.
Yeah, you do hold them to a punt on this drive, and then the offense gets it back and is forced to punt, and that's where you had kind of one of those.
That's where the dam broke.
Yeah, that's where it broke. Everything after this, we're not going to show, but yeah. But that's
the thing that's awesome about like you and you guys being former players and understanding this stuff is those are legitimate questions, and I, as a coach, if I could have one magical power, it'd be turn back the clock and call a different play on Saturday. That'd be awesome if I could do that. But I can't. And you live with the results. You live with, consequences. And I understand as a coach, when we take these jobs and I signed up for this, that people are going to, have answers or questions and I need to have answers. And that's part of it. And when your answers aren't necessarily the one the person asking likes, whether that's a player or another coach or a fan, they disagree. And I get that. And if you make too many of those decisions and too many people disagree, then that creates a different set of consequences. So for me, I try to get caught up in the process of what we did. Is it sound? Now, if the guy catching the ball was 160 pounds and that was a 230-pound linebacker that ran a 4.5, I'd be questioning our coaches if that's the guy we should leave unblocked on the perimeter for our guy to beat, right? But again, I sign off on all this stuff. I like what we do offensively. I like what we do defensively. We just have to do it better. And if we don't do it better, then we have to look at what we're doing. And if the kid we're asking to do those things is capable of doing it, and that's the evolution of coaching throughout the course of the week.
All right. Well, Sam, go ahead and take us through the statistics here for the game.
Yeah, absolutely. So taking a look at the total yards here. So Wayne ending up with 378 yards, 298 for USF, kind of flip-flopping those approaches. Wayne only had 62 yards through the air, 316 on the ground. The Coup had 219 through the air and 79 on the ground. Relatively clean game overall, just 2 accepted penalties on both sides, 20 first downs each. Wayne going 10 for 17 on third downs, USF going 7 for 14. Wayne was 2 for 2 on fourth downs, and USF was 1 for 2 on fourth down, the one we dissected just recently in the coach's clicker, and about 30 minutes apiece. So relatively even games as far as the stat line is concerned, but just different approaches of doing it. And as we talked, the turnover stats not on there, and those things really kind of flip the things in Wayne State's favor. Tate Schaefer, looking at these individual stats here, finished the game 22 for 44, 219 total yards, 2 touchdowns, but did have an interception as well. Bubba Tan finished with 19 carries for 75 yards and a touchdown. And Hank Brown Jr. Racking up just quietly another 12 receptions for 92 yards, hauling in that touchdown we saw. Coach, I looked this morning, HBJ moved into 3rd overall in the country for receptions per game as well. So great to see him just Mr. Consistent there. Isaiah Emanuel had 2 receptions, 49 yards in that touchdown we broke down. Props to him. Capping off his career there with a tutty. And Adonis Hutchinson had 5 receptions for 60 yards.
Yeah, and I look at the stats, and it is kind of indicative of the game. We were throwing the ball quite a bit later in the game, trying to catch up, some of those things. And they had some 3 rushes for over 150 yards. That's not going to win you many games. And the last touchdown, to be honest with you, I think we just got worn down. I think some of our deficiencies caught up with us in the last 50-yard touchdown run. The kid, I think he had 60 yards on the day on 10 carries and 1 for 50, the Hayes kid for them. So that was disappointing to kind of let that one in at the end. But at that point, we had kind of had our lunch handed to us, to be honest with you, on the run game part. And anytime you have that much of a disparity, I say this all the time, and I've been a part of games like that. I'll never forget we played West Florida in the national championship at 19, and they threw for almost 500 yards. Yeah, we had a chance to win the game. You run for 350 yards, you got no chance of winning the game. So you can throw the ball all over the yard all you want, but if you don't run the football for a successful stint, you're not going to win as many games. So you can always have a chance if you can at least stop the run, and we have to do a better job of stopping the run.
And so we look over here at defense, speaking of stopping the run. So Owen McLeod leading the way for the Cougar defense with 9 total tackles, followed by Trey Lewis there. London Kolb finished with 6 total tackles, including that tackle for loss that we broke down earlier. Jordan Medrano had 4 total tackles. Bo Giblin also had 4 total tackles. Kane McWilliams, we had that big TFL we mentioned as well. Garrett Hoffman and Bruce Sukup also finished with 3 total tackles there as well for the defense.
All right, well, let's go ahead and bring it back to our sponsor here. Attention, USF Cougar fans. Atomic Wings is back as sponsor of the Coup Coach Cast this season. Atomic Wings still located at 1502 East 69th Street in Sioux Falls, just north of the USF Stadium, and there's a new Sioux Falls location at 3217 South Sertoma Avenue, just across the street from Roosevelt High School. Atomic Wings offers customers fresh, never frozen, natural and hormone-free chicken wings, hand-tossed in one of 15 different proprietary sauces. The food from Atomic Wings is the perfect complement to football season. Also take advantage of the weekday lunch special. You can get a 3-piece tenders or sandwich combo for $9.99 every Monday through Friday from 11 to 4. The menu includes traditional wings, boneless wings, chicken tenders, sandwiches, or flatbreads. There's also a wonderful selection of sides. And don't forget the fried Oreos for dessert. Huge portions, excellent selection of food, and a sponsor of the Coup Coach Cast. You can't go wrong. There's something for everyone in the family at Atomic Wings. Order online at www.atomicwings.com or come in, located on 69th Street, just north of the USF football stadium. Perfect for pregame tailgates or postgame celebrations with friends and family. All right, guys. Atomic wings, always good. I always enjoy, some wings. But you guys award the Atomic Wings Players of the Week, Coach. And, we talked on previous episodes, you're still going to award Players of the Game or Players of the Week, even in losses. And so this week's Atomic Wings Players of the Week.
Yeah, I think offensively, Ryan Ziegelbauer plays left guard for us, or right guard as you look at it from a defensive perspective. But yeah, he's been a really solid player for us, man. He played his heart out. He battled all day long. And honestly, Hank had a big day catch-wise and all that. But just wanted to recognize one of those guys up front because I think Ryan has been a really solid and consistent performer all year long. Preston Yankee, although he missed the second half due to injury, he really did a nice job. He's physical. He dominated in the run game when he was in there. And to be honest with you, it was probably more of an issue of you could see when he wasn't in there, the difference it made and how much of an impact he had. And when he was out in the second half, he's a tough kid to replace. And then Jordan Medrano, great effort all day long, made some tackles on special teams, was a force out there. Again, another kid that a senior who's worked his tail off and really battled and has been really a positive light for us on defense. And the scout guys, I think Noah Ridgel is a kid that has got a great future, works his tail off. He's going to be one of those kind of boundary safety nickel types in the future. Really athletic kid that's physical, come up and strike you. Had a great week in prep. Keelan Conkler, another kid who gets some shine on special teams as a redshirt freshman, but during the week he's on scout team, giving a great look and great effort. And then Jace Tone, Jace, the kid, has got a chance to be a really good player for us in the offensive line. Done a really nice job of just battling his tail off. And really every day has been consistent. And we need those big bodies up front when it's not the most fun thing to run scout team. He does it every day and does it with a smile on his face. And really appreciate those guys in the scouts giving great effort.
Awesome. Yeah. Coach, we got the Atomic Wings Players of the Game here, but you guys have been at home the last couple of weeks. We haven't had a chance to give a Love's Truck Stop salad of the week award, but yeah, we got a road game coming up this week. But before we get there, we are going to go through the standings in the NSIC. You can see that Sioux Falls with the loss dropped to 2-3 in the South Division, 5-4 overall in the conference. And if you look at these standings, I mean, there's a lot of teams right at that 6-4 mark right now overall. You've got Moorhead at 7-3. And then Duluth and Augie are at the top there with 9-1 records, but Mankato beat Augustana the other day, so that puts them ahead of Augie in the South standings. So there's a lot of weird dynamics going on here with the conference standings, but you've got a few teams at the top, and then everyone else is really bunched up there, kind of in that second tier.
Yeah, it's an interesting dynamic. Depending on how things shake out this week, you might have 2 or 3 teams separated and then a bunch of guys clustered at that next level. So we'll see how that goes. We got to focus on taking care of business on Saturday. Concordia's coming off a big win. It's their senior day up there. It's a noon kickoff. It'll be a challenge for us to bounce back. Obviously that's a concern I have as a coach. Can we bounce back and finish strong? That's the plan. That's the expectation. So I'm looking forward to our kids bouncing back and finishing out the season the right way at 7-4, which, we'll probably talk about this more next week, but, disappointing to be 7-4, but it's a heck of a lot better than 5-6 or 6-5, right? And so the reality of it is we can control what we can control. And 7-4 or 6-5 is what we have direct control over. So let's go out and take care of business and finish this thing the right way.
A lot better than 3-8 as well, Coach. I know a couple seasons ago we were having some tough conversations here on the show at the end of the season.
Yeah, and I used to work for a guy years ago. He used to say, I eat tough conversations for breakfast. I'm not going to say that, but the reality of it is, and this is a great lesson for our kids. And that's what I try to, I'm a big coach into, hey, this is why we teach what we teach. This is where this is going to benefit you. For the likelihood of 99.9% of you guys, you're going to be done playing in your college experience. What are you going to take from this? And you work your tail off, you commit to something, you're all about it. That alone does not guarantee you success. It doesn't. What it guarantees you is that you can look yourself in the mirror and be okay with how you prepared, how you attacked it, and the effort you gave. And then you can live with any results. The one thing that I always tell our kids is if you don't commit fully, then you have no right to complain about the result. If you commit fully, you can be satisfied that you did your best. The reality of life is sometimes your best is not good enough. your best effort and your best preparation should always be required. And that should always be the standard. And that's kind of how we try to run the program. And, walking in front of that team on Saturday after a loss, that's not fun. It was way more fun the week before. I'm taking my shoe off, throwing it on the ground, and we're partying, and it's a great time. And we got a bunch of guys in the press box, and yeah, that's awesome. That everybody wants that. But if you want that, the only way to give yourself a chance to have that is how you prepare during the week. So if this is what you want, this is how you prepare. You bust your tail, you do everything you can, and then you live with the result. You shake the other guy's hand, you tell him good job, congratulate Wayne State. They beat us on our place. That's frustrating, but I know how it feels because we did it to them last year, and that's how this game works. So you do it long enough, you coach long enough, you play long enough, you're going to get on both sides of this deal. Hopefully you're on the positive side more than not, and that's the goal this year, is to finish for the 7th time on the positive side, which 7 out of 11 games. And if you know kind of what's happening here internally, I'm not saying that's satisfying, but I feel proud of our kids no matter what. So I know they'll play hard. I know they'll come out. Saturday was not an issue of effort. It was not an issue of execution. It was an issue of consistent execution, because we obviously started the game the right way. We came out after halftime the right way. We didn't finish the half or the game the right way. And that's where we have to continue to improve. And I know I get long-winded with some of this stuff, but my job, and it will always be, to coach my tail off until that clock in Concordia says 0.00. And then we'll talk about the year, how it went, right? But until that point, I remember years ago I was teaching a kid how to play off a cut block, and he wanted to be a garbage management guy. His dad owned a garbage company, and this is out in Pennsylvania years ago. He's like, why am I still doing cut blocks on Thursday when this is the last game, and then he can help me in my career? I said, his name was Nick. I go, Nick, you may be out there doing garbage, and one day someone's going to throw the trash can, and you have to play off a cut block on the trash can. So you never know when playing off a cut block the proper way and looking that trash can in, because that trash can being cut on 42nd and the Borough over there, that guy cutting you with the trash can is the same thing as this guy cutting you on Saturday. So lock in and let's get better. And he laughed, and we kind of chuckled about it. So I get the cut block isn't going to play off to some of these seniors on Monday next week, but it's finishing what you start. And I just can't stand programs that just kind of coast to the finish and do this whole, wow, this is the kumbaya around the fire, and let's go compete. You got one more chance to do this. We'll talk about that after the season. So play off the cut block, whether you're a garbage man or you got a game on Saturday. You never know when it's going to come in handy.
Have you received a text from Nick in subsequent years saying,
No.
Coach, I really appreciate that lesson? Okay, we're still waiting for that.
You're listening, Nick.
I don't know. I think
loving our follow-up on next week's show.
I don't think he ever had to put a time in on the street and actually deliver the garbage. He was already going to go right to the front office of this old man owning the company. So, but I think, it's a very passionate, it's a very intense, it's a lot of time and commitment. I appreciate our kids. I appreciate the interest. It stinks to leave home without a victory, the last home game for those seniors, but let's be honest, we got what we deserved. We didn't play well enough. We didn't execute well enough, and we got what we deserved. We got beat. So you hope that lesson sticks with them. And even the rest of your life, you show up not prepared, be prepared for the consequences of not getting what you want.
Well, you mentioned this Saturday, Coach, Game 11 for the Cougars, final game of the season at Concordia-St. Paul, Saturday, November 15th, up at Seafoam Stadium in St. Paul, Minnesota. Kickoff's a noon kickoff, so it's earlier than typical. Make sure if you're on the road, get out to the stadium nice and early, be prepared. I went in 2019. There was a pretty decent tailgate set up there for the Cougars, so I'm planning on going this coming Saturday as well. So you can watch on the NSIC network, but if you do, make sure to sync up your audio with KWSN 98.1 FM and 12:30 AM, 11:30 pregame show with Tom Frederick, Tim Hyatt, as well as sideline buddy Chad Birger on the broadcast.
Hey, as a side note, this is a little bonus question. Does anybody know what Seafoam is?
It's a engine lubricant, or isn't it?
I don't think it's a lubricant. It's like it's like
additive.
Additive. Yep.
Additive.
Any the doctor would know that.
Yes.
Seafoam Stadium. That's exactly right.
I played a game at Seafood Stadium. That would be, there we go. Maybe not in the upper Midwest.
We all would know what Seafood Stadium is.
All right. Well, Concordia has had a rough season this year, 2-8 record. They won games against Southwest and Minot State, but the rest of them kind of haven't gone their way. Some tight ones in there, so a few one-sided ones. But head coach Shannon Currier is still leading that program, and he's been there for a long, long time, Coach. It's his 13th season as head coach. He's been there off and on since 1999, since the 1900s. So he knows Concordia very, very well. What do we expect to see from the Bears here on Saturday?
Did you just say from the 1900s?
1900s. Yeah. Yep.
He has been there a long time. Yeah, Shannon's a good guy, a friend of mine. Does a good job. He works hard. Those guys, they just haven't had the results they wanted. I think it's been one of those situations where he's been part of the NSIC and then the new NSIC. He was there that long ago, where it was the old NSIC, a collection of teams. But I expect to see a very similar game that we saw on Saturday. More rushing attack, less passing attack, quarterback involved in the run game. I'm sure they're going to watch our film, and there's going to be things that they're going to do. So I would expect them to do some of the same things that Wayne did and try to have success. And ultimately, we've got to execute and stop the run, put them in 3rd and long, and then get after them. When we got Wayne into the favorable situations for us, we were pretty good. When we got into 3rd and 2 and 4th and 1, that was not our cup of tea. So that's our focus. Get better this week offensively, throw the ball, catch the ball, block people, run the ball hard between the tackles, and make sure that we get a chance to get in the red zone, put points on the board. So got to minimize explosive plays. That's the big thing. We really have to minimize explosive plays and make them earn everything.
Coach, you got me thinking about my game there in 2013, and I think we talked about it off air too. It's the last game of the season. Concordia's got a losing record right now. Their stadium's kind of tucked away. I'm not here to rag on Concordia-St. Paul, but I mean, it's going to be kind of probably low fan, a little low energy, early kickoff. I think our game was at 11:30 for some odd reason. And I remember walking out there wasn't a soul in the stands, and you had to kind of bring your own energy. What's the message to the guys going in the last game of the season? You're frankly going to probably rolling into an empty stadium, and you guys got to bring the juice. How do you get those guys? What's your mentality, and how do you get those guys ready to play in an atmosphere like that on Saturday?
It's the same thing I'm going to tell you guys next week. This is our last Cougcast of the season. What are you bringing today? Are you bringing juice? Are you locked in? Do you want this to be the best show of the year or not? Because if you don't, then let's just mail it in. Let me do my own podcast, and we'll call it good. But if you want to show up and bring some juice today, and you want to be all about this podcast, you want to finish the 2025 season in a positive way, then let's go. Let's go. Let's right now. Let's go. And that's what I'm going to tell them.
All right, I'm ready. Let's go.
That's right. Let's jump on the bus. Day trip.
The way I look at it is, whether it's your last game as a senior or your last game of the season, right? This is it. And we only get 11 of these guaranteed, right? And Cam Dean, I'm going to have Cam Dean stand there. Cam Dean, do you wish you could be out there today? How about you, Connor Rice? How about you, Alex Maxim? How about you, Preston Yankee? How about you, Cal Botsford? I mean, all these guys that can't go today, play for them. Don't disregard that you get an opportunity to be out here today. That's the thing. And don't disrespect your teammates who poured in all that sweat and equity since January and go out and lay an egg here today. Because that's what this is about. It's about playing for each other. It's about playing for the pride on the front of your jersey. It's about winners winning, because winners don't just win on the scoreboard. They win off the field as well. They win in their preparation. They win in how we go about our business. That's what the whole mantra. And that's Chad was there. That's what I said after the game. If we winners win is about how we carry ourselves day in and day out. We shake hands after we win or lose. That's what a winner does. Winning, to me, our culture has twisted it. Somehow the guy that has the most money in his bank account, the most W's in his column, is somehow the better person. It's not. It's the guy that knows how to attack what's needed to be done and do it as consistently as possible to the best of his ability. That's what a winner does. And if winners win, then it doesn't matter what our record is. It doesn't matter who we're playing. It doesn't matter how many stands are in the field. It doesn't matter if we're playing at Seafoam or Seafood Stadium. It's irrelevant. It's go time. Let's go strap it up, because next week, I promise you, you won't be playing. You're going to watch somebody else, and you're going to wish you were out playing. So look around, embrace it, play with your buddies, have a blast, and let's go get busy.
All right, Coach. Yeah. I don't think we need to say
room on the bus for a couple more.
Well, I mean, right? I mean, I appreciate the question, not to be silly about it, but man, like, I'm bummed out because I live for this. I live for Saturdays. I live for being in a hotel. This is my last Friday night in the hotel with these guys. Like, I'm bummed. That's what I signed up. I love this. I don't love answering tough questions from Tom and Tim in the post game. That's not fun. I don't love cutting a kid's scholarship, or I don't love necessarily driving all over the country to chase kids around that don't know what they want. But I do love coaching the game of football to guys that are passionate about it, right? I mean, I do. It's like the guy that plays pickup basketball till he's 60. He still can't take somebody off the dribble, but he loves putting on those socks, straight, lace up those shoes and run up and down the court, the smell of the gym. He loves the process of playing basketball. Whether you're 60 and playing in a senior league, or if you're 20 playing for the NCAA Division II title, like, you love the game. And if you love the game and if you love everything about it, which I think our kids do, you go out and you embrace this last opportunity, because that's all we're given is one opportunity left. And let's go maximize it. Who knows where any of us are going to be next year, right? I mean, at the end of the day, it's not going to be the same team. This is the last time the 2025 team gets to play together. It's the last road trip. And I'll tell you this, you look at our roster that went to Black Hills and the one that's going to go to Concordia, it looks like we had some. It looked like we had some seafood. We got seafood poisoning. I don't know, because they ain't the same guys, group of guys. But every team has that problem. So I can tell you by just the last few months how much the team can change and how many opportunities you should take advantage of, because you're not guaranteed all of them. So that part of it will be easy for me. Now, whether they listen to it or not, whether they buy into it or not, that's a different story. But I'll be ready to go. I mean, I'm excited. I'm bummed out that a week from today it's over. I love what I do. I love coaching these guys. I love coaching them here at Sioux Falls. So I just hope that they enjoy the process. I hope they want to get better this week at practice. I think they will. I mean, everything they've done, they've shown me that they want to be better. The fact that we've lost 4 games, I mean, it's not because they're bad kids or bad players. It just we didn't execute all the time. And there's 1,000 reasons why. You know, I could give you but nobody cares. Just win.
Coach, I'm fired up right now. I don't know, like this whole talk, man. I'm fired up. But yeah, Sam and I, we kind of we're on the same wavelength as you are, and you know we're hoping the Cougars come out and are, you know, playing like winners this weekend, and that's where we're at.
Well, I think, you know, to me, it's been there's been some tough turns and all that, but every team has adversity. You know, I mean, we could be here at 3-8. It wasn't too long ago we were 3-7 going to Southwest, right? We're 7 and we're what are we 6-5? I don't even know what we are. I worry about the game. We're 6-4 going into the last game. Last year we were 7-3 going to last game. Up until last week, you know, last Monday we were kind of curious where the rankings were at. So now we're from completely out of the race at what, October 1st last 2 years ago to now the last 2 years, at least November, we've been playing games that we're still kind of in the mix. And I'm not saying that's the ultimate, but this is a step in the right direction. And I know everybody wants instant oatmeal, but this is more of a crock pot if you're going to do it the right way. And so we're going to build it and continue to go to work and recruit. The season's over. I'm going to give the staff off next Sunday. We're going to come back on Monday. We're going to meet on Tuesday with our players. We're going to say goodbye to our seniors officially, and we're going to get ready for 26. But I'm not going to worry about 26 until 25 is over.
All right. Well, thanks, guys. We'll go ahead and wrap up right here. Special thanks to Tom Frederick, Tim Hyatt, Matt Witwicky, the USF Athletic Department, and the Northern Sun Intercollegiate Conference. Shout out to our sponsors for Unlimited Painting and Atomic Wings of Sioux Falls. For Sam Dooyema and Jim Glogowski, I'm Chad Birger. Until next time, go Cougars.